the storied eyes on Alder's lips. She sits by the fire, the clan's children at her feet, her face a mask of cracked riverbed soil. She is telling the tale of the first hunt, a story she has told 1,000 times, a foundational myth of their people. But today the words fray. The great stag, its antlers were a forest of bone. It turned, and its eyes were, her own eyes weren't sharp as flint shards, go distant. She looks through the children, through the back of the cave, into a private distance where the stag of her memory has just vanished into a thick fog. The children fidget. A story without an end is a broken tool. It is her grandson, Cale, who kneels beside her and gently finishes the line, the color of the winter sun. He has heard the story enough times to know it by heart, or so he thinks. All day is the memory keeper. Her mind is the clan's great library, the living record of their hominid history. It holds the knowledge of which roots heal and which kill, the patterns of the stars, the lineage of every family, and the stories of the great beasts, the dinosaurs that rule their world. But the library is burning. The clan calls it the mind fog. They watch with a mixture of pity and growing impatience as their most sacred resource becomes unreliable. Sad erosion of her great mind, a cognitive decline as relentless as a glacier, is turning her from an oracle into an omen. Her warnings, once heeded as law, are now dismissed as the ramblings of a fading mind. This is a new, quiet kind of terror in their prehistoric life, the fear of forgetting who they are. Cale refuses to let the fire go out. He spends his days beside her, a patient scribe with no parchment, trying to catch the embers of her memory as they float by. His questions are a gentle hand, trying to guide her through the confusing labyrinth of her own onomancies, the painful act of recollection. He asks about the long winter, about the feud with the river clan, about the time a meteor shower made the sky bleed. Sometimes she gives him a perfect, shining fragment of the past. She gives him a handful of disconnected words, like a necklace whose string has broken. He is not just a grandson trying to comfort his elder. He is an archaeologist of a living mind, desperately trying to map a collapsing world. One evening, as a dry wind whistles at the cave mouth, she grabs his arm. Her grip is surprisingly strong, her eyes suddenly, terrifyingly lucid. "Cale," she rouse, her voice a dry crackle. "The river. When it runs low, the mud groans." She leans closer, her breath smelling of dust and old herbs. The sailbacks wake, reed teeth in the water. They hate, the thundercry, they hate. Her eyes cloud over again. The connection is lost. She releases his arm and begins humming a child's lullaby, the moment of clarity gone as quickly as it came. The sailbacks. Cale has heard whispers of them in broken stories before, but never like this. The clan's hunters, pragmatic and focused on the present drought, are worried about the shrinking herds, not a ghost story from a dying mind. But Cale looks from his grandmother's now vacant face toward the direction of the river, a river that is indeed running lower than any living person has ever seen. The groan of the mud is the first sign. Two hunters, sent to the deepest part of the shrinking river for water skins, return with empty hands and pale faces. The fish are gone. The water, they say, is thick with a strange, oily musk, and the bottom is littered with the gnawed carcasses of giant gar. The world has gone quiet around the riverbank, a silence that feels heavier and more watchful than the usual hum of the prehistoric world. The clan gathers on the cliff edge overlooking the water, their anxiety a palpable thing. They are people of the river, and their river is sick. Then they see it. A long, serrated ridge cuts through the murky water, moving with a slow, serpentine grace. It is not a log. It is the great neural sail on the back of some titanic beast, a magnificent and terrifying banner of flesh and bone. From the muddy water the head emerges. It is not the blunt, powerful skull of a Tyrannosaurus rex, but a long, narrow crocodilian snout bristling with conical teeth that interlock like a cage. The first Spinosaurus heaves its immense body onto the bank, its powerful clawed limbs digging into the mud for purchase. It is a creature built for two worlds, land and water, mastering both. And it is not alone. A second, slightly larger one follows, its own sail a dark mirror of the first. They are a mated pair drawn to the trapped, dying fish of the drought-stricken river, and they are claiming it as their own. One of the beasts lets out a low, guttural hiss that sounds like a landslide, a clear declaration of territory. They have fulfilled the first half of Alder's prophecy. The sailbacks have woken. Panic gives way to grim resolve. The river is their only reliable source of water. They are cut off. The hunt leader, a strong but unimaginative man named Gero, begins to form a plan. A dozen hunters, armed with their best spears, will descend from the cliffs and attack from multiple sides. It is a suicidal plan. Kale, his heart pounding, steps forward. He speaks of Alder's warning, of the second part of the story he does not yet have. She said there was a way, he insists, his voice cracking with urgency. A weakness. To attack them now is to die for nothing. Gero scoffs, gesturing at the two apex predators below. Look at them, boy. Their only weakness is that they are not yet feeding on our bones. We fight, or we die of thirst. This is the hard choice, the eternal conflict in the story of human ancestors. The courage of the spear arm versus the foresight of the mind. Kale's plea is an act of altruism born of desperation. He is asking the strongest to be patient, to trust the fragmented memories of the weakest. He is asking them to believe in a weapon that is not yet forged. He returns to the cave to all day. She sits weaving a strand of dried grass, humming her tuneless lullaby. The fate of his clan rests on his ability to navigate the fog of her memory. He brings her a smooth, wet river stone. He lets her smell the mud on his hands. He uses a piece of charcoal to draw the shape of a great sail on the cave wall. He is trying to give Hurl and Mark a mnemonic anchor in the storm of her mind. The thundercry all day, he whispers, his voice thick with pleading. What is the thundercry? And for a fleeting moment, a flicker of recognition sparks in her eyes. The high rocks, she mutters when the storm speaks. And then she is gone again, back to her lullaby. The high rocks. It is not an answer, but it is a direction. Kale finds the high rocks just as the sun sets, a sheer cliff face that drops directly onto a wide, flat shelf of stone bordering the river. He can see the two Spinosaurus below, their great sails like dark ships moored in the twilight. He recalls Alder's words, the high rocks. When the storm speaks, it is not a memory of a sound, but a recipe for one. A storm speaks with thunder, the sound of the sky breaking. But here, the storm would also send loose rocks crashing down this cliff face. A landslide. That is the thunder cry. It is not a sound they must make with their mouths, but a sound they must make with the world itself. This is the crucial moment of cultural transmission. A fragment of ancestral knowledge crossing the broken bridge of a failing mind to be reborn as a weapon. He sprints back to the clan, his mind electric with the idea. He finds Gero preparing the hunting party for their doomed assault. Kale doesn't plead this time, he commands. He lays out the plan, his words painting a picture not of a battle, but of a performance. They will not throw spears at the beasts, they will throw the mountain itself. They will line the top of the high rocks with every heavy stone and log they can move. On his signal, they will push it all over the edge at once, creating a deafening roar, a man-made thunderclap to terrify the sailbacks. It is a plan born of a ghost's whisper, an insane symphony of violence. Gero looks from the desperate certainty in Kale's eyes to the sick, thirsty faces of the clan. They have one choice, a plan that might work or a charge that will surely fail. The clan moves as one, under the light of a slivered moon, a line of ancient human strains, pushing undrolling boulders to the cliff's edge. It is the great work in miniature, but driven by immediate terror, not generational hope. They work in mere silence, their bare feet soft on the stone. The only sounds the grunting of effort and the scrape of rock on rock. Kale positions himself where he can see both the clan and the dinosaurs below. He raises his hand, a torch held high. He waits until the two great beasts are resting close together near the rock shelf, their heads low to the water. He takes a breath and drops the torch. The sound is apocalyptic. It is the sound of a world breaking. Dozens of boulders, some as large as a man, crash down onto the stone shelf below. They do not aim for the dinosaurs, but for the rock itself. The impact creates a single, colossal crack of thunder that echoes through the canyon. A concussive wave of pure noise. The reaction from the sailbacks is instantaneous and primal. They do not roar in anger, they shriek in absolute terror. Their sophisticated auditory senses, tuned to the subtlest vibrations in the water, are overloaded. They crash into each other, their massive bodies clumsy in their panic, and scramble downriver, fleeing the terrifying, incomprehensible sound. They do not look back. The clan stares down from the cliff, their ears ringing, their bodies trembling with adrenaline and awe. They have not killed the monsters. They have simply reminded them that the world holds terrors older and louder than teeth and claws. They have learned to speak the language of the storm. In the silence that followed the thundercry, the clan learned the most important lesson in the long story of their evolution. The greatest weapon they possessed was not the sharpened stone in their hands, but the fragile, faltering memories of the old woman who sat humming by the fire. Kayle's desperate act of listening, of piecing together a story from the ashes of a burning mind, was the first true act of historical preservation. He had proven that a people's past was not a collection of fireside tales, but a map, an arsenal, a living shield against the brutal realities of the prehistoric world. The respect they now showed all day was different. It was not pity, but a deep, reverent awe. They saw her not as a fading elder, but as a sacred vessel, a library whose every last page, however torn or faded, contained a secret to their survival. This was the moment our ancestors understood that what makes us human is not our strength, but our story. For what is a people without its history? A species without a memory, destined only to hunt, to die, and to be forgotten. History is not the story of what we have built, but the echo of what we refuse to forget. In the shadow of the great mountains, a new fire was being kindled, one that did not offer warmth, but promised power.